where essentially what happens is you take a lot of these different pods and basically group them together as back-end service, because that's how we logically build applications, right? You have front-end servers, you have back-end servers, you have middle-tier servers, etc. And what that effectively does is to blend them all together, manage them all together and you get one single port endpoint. So if you went to each of these machines and probe them, each of those machines would be having that particular thing deployed on port number 9000. So it allows you to group those things together as logical constructs called the service, and you can use all of that in combination to basically manage your entire infrastructure from the cluster manager point of view. So this is at a higher level than just saying I'm just going to deploy something into a container optimized VM. Right? Okay so far? So let's go and look at a demonstration of that. Okay, so I have already gone ahead and spun up Kubernetes on if you want to know where you can get Kubernetes, just do Kubernetes GitHub. So this is where the entire source code for Kubernetes is, right? Obviously, it's fresh off the oven. So, and we have many different getting started guides here. There's one for Rackspace, there's one for Azure. I think this is VMware, vSphere, and there's one for Google Compute Engine as well. And there's much more detailed documentation here, so you can just go ahead and read that. And there's documentation which here shows you how to deploy it as well. Now what I have done is actually gone ahead and deployed it already. So I have a Kubernetes master. So there's one master controller, and I have 4 minions underneath that. That's my fleet, 4 virtual machines, and my master controller is now looking at those 4 VMs, and it's managing all of those VMs, right? And I've basically installed it inside this VM. So let's go ahead and maybe not the name of it. So let's do vCloud. Okay. So yeah, to install this one, basically you also need Go language. So it's all written in Go. It's all written in Go. So you need the Go language as well. I've already gone ahead and installed that. So let me just go ahead and put the here. And there are many different commands in there that you want to do. So maybe the first one we'll do is cluster shell list blocks. So what I'm telling the system is, go ahead and show me all of the pods that are running in my cluster. And as of now, I got nothing running. Right? So it's got absolutely nothing running in there. So all I have to do subsequent to that is basically go ahead and run. Let's go ahead and run a very simple one. Let's say. Okay, so I got nothing running on my cluster now. So let's do cluster G. So I'm going to want it to go ahead and spin up something. Let's say port 8080. So where I'm saying map the host port 8080 to my port 80 on the container. And then I'm going to say run docker files slash nginx, so which is basically saying go ahead and spin up nginx for me, and have two of those nginx, and call it demo nginx right?
Docker file.
Right?
You have Docker file.
Oh. Sorry, shouldn't be making that mistake. Right? Is that right now? Docker file nginx. And number two is how many of those I want to run. And I'm just giving that a name as well, right? So when I go ahead and do that, so it's gone ahead and did that. So if I just go back here and do cluster slash so, and then do list pods. So now it's spun up two of those, right? And if, as you can see, where are you running? So the first one is running on my machine Kubernetes Minion 1. The second one is running on Kubernetes Minion -3. Right? So it's gone ahead and spun those two over there. I apologize for the screen because it's just not enough resolution there. But you can see it's just gone ahead and spun those two up. Now, we can go ahead and test that by basically taking these. If I just go back to my console here, so that's Minion 1. That's the port number, IP address, right? And if I go back to my shell here, so there you go. That's the port number on which it's running. So if I just copy that IP address and go here and do port 8080. Hold on a second. Did I screw up on that? Let's just go ahead and SSH into that machine. So I'm just waiting to connect to that machine. Yeah. So it's gone ahead and started the Unix on that machine. So let's go back here. Let's do that again. There you go. Right. Just a little. Just took a couple of seconds for that to get all going, booted up. So if I go back to Minion 3 here, and I did the same thing, that's Nginx running on that one too. Now, the nice bit is that now I can go ahead and resize this any way, shape, or form that I want. If I go back on my console here, and I say blah, 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 I can say resize 3, and what is the name I gave? Demo Nginx cluster, right? Demo, okay. Demo. Right. So I can go ahead and resize that any way, shape, or form you want. So it's going to say. So now it's gone ahead and resize the cluster for me. So if I do clear and then I do list pods now. So there's a third one running. Right? And I have to do very little work on my side because the cluster manager is doing everything. Right? So if I go into that new IP address and hit it, Nginx is going to run there. Yeah?
What if you go in one of them and kill them?
What if you go in and one of them and kill it?
Yeah.
Right. So what will happen is the cluster manager is actually watching it and it will start right back up.
How often does it do?
It's pretty quick because the whole thing is running off of an agent and APIs. It should be within a couple of seconds, if I'm not mistaken. So that's the whole concept, right? So you've said, I want this pool and I want this pool size to be X. So the cluster manager is looking at that whole thing, and the minute it goes down, it will go back and start. Okay.
So what happens if what's in the container when you go? What if you push updates to, or what if you update the containers that are running in your cluster? How can you get those containers restarted?
There is actually a function called rolling update in Kubernetes. So you update the image and you push the Docker image, right? But pushing a Docker image is not the same as restarting it.
Right.
So there's a function in Kubernetes which is called rolling restart, and you specify the time interval between rolling restart and you hit go. It will do a rolling restart of each of those functions.
So Kubernetes could automatically just keep an eye, like you set the rolling restart interval?
Yes, and if you
Kubernetes will automatically pull those updates and restart those containers.
You have to push the updates first.
Of course,
Yeah.
but
After that, you just say restart, rolling restart, and the time interval, and so it will just restart when you want.
Oh, that's high.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So how often do you need to do the loading things to make sure the image is always updated?
How often do you need to do the loading thing? As in updated to the Docker version? As in our container images, the VM optimized container images, how often do you have to update them?
Yes.
That's a good question. I think we release them quite frequently, almost like as, I'd have to check on the release frequency really, but it's quite often, every time we try to make releases, just put it out there. But what you have running will run, but Kubernetes also allows you to go ahead and, destroy some of these and restart them all very easily.